Black woman CEO was kept waiting minutes later. She turned the whole company upside down. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel is losing traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allows us to continue bringing you great content. Your support means everything. Let's keep this channel growing collectively. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to the story. You can't stand here, wait outside. The words hit the marble floor like a slap. A hush fell over the lobby of Brighton Holdings Tower white walls, glass ceilings, expensive silence. In the center stood a woman in a fuchsia suit, calm and still, while a security guard's fist clutched the lapel of her jacket. Every phone in the room froze mid-scroll. Someone whispered, "Is he serious?" He was. His grip tightened. "Didn't you hear me?" he barked. "No blacks in this area. Corporate clients only." The crowd shifted. Two interns exchanged looks, torn between fear and disbelief. She didn't flinch. Her voice was low, deliberate. The elevator chimed. A man in a navy suit stepped out, tablet in hand, already irritated. "Richard Mullins," the guard said, straightening up. "She's refusing to leave." M. Richard's eyes scanned Amara from head to toe, the fuchsia suit, the calm posture, the eyes that didn't blink. "Ma'am, this is a restricted lobby. We're expecting clients from London. Please wait outside." "I am waiting," she replied evenly, "for competence." A few people gasped. Someone lowered their phone. Another kept recording. Richard forced a laugh, the kind that hides panic. "Ma'am, we don't need trouble this morning." "You already have it," she said. "Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you believe in dignity and justice, hit like and subscribe. These stories spark change. And we're glad you're here. Now, back to Amara. The guard muttered, "She's got attitude." Richard waved him off. "Let me handle this." He turned back to her. "You have an appointment." Amara nodded once. "The 27th floor." "That's executive level," he said sharply. "Only senior staff." "Perfect," she cut in. "That's where I belong." Her voice didn't rise, but the temperature in the room seemed to drop. Richard stepped closer. "Show me ID." She reached into her pocket, not for a wallet, but a phone. A single tap lit the screen. The company logo glowed bright. Brighton Holdings internal access. The guard squinted. That could be fake. Richard leaned forward, uneasy. "Who exactly are you?" Amara looked around the lobby, at the onlookers pretending not to stare, at the receptionist biting her lip. "I'm someone you should have greeted, not grabbed," she said. Richard frowned. "Excuse me?" "You heard me." Behind her, the glass doors slid open again. A young intern, Sarah Lopez, stepped inside, holding a stack of files. She froze. Her eyes widened as she recognized Amara from the onboarding video last quarter. Her lips parted, but fear sealed them shut. Amara caught her gaze, calm but deliberate. "Miss Lopez," she said softly. "You've seen me before, haven't you?" The intern hesitated, voice trembling. "Yes, ma'am. You're—" Her words died as Richard's glare cut across the room. "Don't," he snapped. "You don't even know her." But everyone knew something had shifted. The guard's hand fell away from Amara's jacket. The silence felt heavier now, not from tension, but from realization. Amara took a slow breath. "Call upstairs," she said. "Tell them Amara Blake is here." Richard blinked. "Wait, Blake?" The name landed like thunder. Every phone that had been filming now trembled in its owner's hand. For a full second, nobody moved. The name hung in the air like smoke. Then Richard's voice cracked. You can't be serious. You're Amara Blake?" Amara didn't answer. She didn't need to. Her calm said everything his words couldn't. Behind him, the receptionist gasped. The guard took a half step back as if the floor had shifted. Sarah's voice broke through the stillness. "Sir, I told you she looked familiar." Richard spun on her. "Enough. Not another word." But his authority was leaking through every syllable, like air from a punctured tire. Amara adjusted the lapel he'd wrinkled moments ago. "You said you were expecting clients from London," she said quietly. "They're meeting me." The lobby filled with the small sounds of panic keyboards clicking, phones buzzing, whispers that tried and failed to stay private. One man near the coffee station whispered, "She owns the company, doesn't she?" The woman beside him nodded, eyes wide. "She is the company." Richard tried to recover. voice trembling under a forced smile. Well, Miss Blake, had we known, you would have acted differently, she interrupted. That's the problem. The words landed hard. No one spoke after that. Even the elevator music seemed to stop. From the far side of the lobby, a security camera's red light blinked. Recording. Watching. Amara glanced up at it. Good, she murmured, almost to herself. Let them see everything. Richard swallowed. I assure you this was all a misunderstanding. Was it? Her tone was light, but it carried the weight of truth. Because I've heard this story before. Different faces, same energy. The guard shifted uneasily. Ma'am, don't, she said, calm as thunder before rain. Not another excuse. Sarah stood a little straighter. Ma'am, should I notify the boardroom? Amara met her eyes and nodded once. Please do. The guard reached for his radio. Protocol 2. No, Richard snapped, trying to regain control. Nobody moves until I say so. Amara turned slowly toward him. You had no problem moving me, Mr. Mullins. Why hesitate now? Her voice was silk wrapped around steel. The crowd felt it, that quiet shift from defense to command. The elevator dinged again. A group of executives stepped out, laughing about something until they saw her. Their smiles froze. One whispered, "Oh, God." Amara folded her hands in front of her. Let's not waste anyone's time, she said softly. Call the floor director. Tell him the CEO's meeting will begin here. Richard's face drained of color. Here? She nodded. Right here, where you told me to wait outside. Ugh. And with that, the balance in the room snapped, not with noise, but with silence so complete it sounded like justice waiting to speak. Phones were still in the air when the executives realized what was happening. The marble lobby built to impress investors had become a courtroom, and every witness was already recording. Richard tried to gather himself, but the stammer betrayed him. Miss Blake, we had no idea. You did, Amara said evenly. You just didn't care until now. Ugh. The silence that followed was brutal. Sarah, still standing near the desk, looked between them, her throat tight, her pulse racing. It was the first time she'd seen someone dismantle power without raising her voice. Amara gestured to the open space. Since this floor seems so eager to evaluate guests, let's start the meeting here. The executives glanced at one another, unsure if it was sarcasm or a command. She made it clear. It was both. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you believe that dignity should never be questioned, hit like and subscribe, because what's about to happen is why silence is never neutral. Now, back to Amara. She turned toward the receptionist. Please connect my call to the boardroom. Her tone was calm, professional, and terrifyingly precise. The young woman fumbled the phone, whispering, Yes, ma'am. Richard exhaled, trying to salvage his dignity. Look, there's no need to damage control, she asked. That's your instinct, isn't it? Hide the problem, not fix it. He blinked, caught. It was just a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding, she echoed. That's what you call years of learned disrespect. The sentence was soft, but it carried like thunder across glass. From the corner, the guard mumbled, We were only following procedure. Amara turned to him. Procedure doesn't include humiliation. He dropped his eyes. Sarah's phone vibrated an email from CEO office. Verification complete. She hesitated, then read aloud. Confirmation of CEO presence. Protocol 9 authorized. Gasps rippled through the lobby. Richard stepped back. Wait, Protocol 9? It means, Amara said, you're not in charge of this floor anymore. Her assistant's voice echoed through the lobby speaker. Miss Blake, the executive team is on standby. Do you want me to record this session? Yes, Amara replied. Public documentation builds better habits. The executives shuffled uneasily. One whispered, She's turning this into a compliance audit. Amara heard him. No, she said. I'm turning it into accountability. She looked directly at Richard. When I asked you to call upstairs, you saw a woman you thought didn't belong. You didn't ask who she was. You decided what she wasn't. He tried to speak, but no words came. You thought I was late to a meeting, she continued. Turns out I am the meeting. The sentence landed like a verdict. Somewhere behind her, Sarah whispered, That's what power sounds like. And for the first time that morning, no one dared to breathe. No one dared to move. The lobby, moments ago a space of polite arrogance, had turned into a theater of reckoning. Every movement, every breath, sounded loud against the marble. Amara stood in the middle of it, hands folded lightly, the fuchsia of her suit glowing under the cool ceiling lights. Across from her, Richard's jaw twitched. The guard stared at the floor, his badge suddenly heavier than it had ever felt. "Miss Blake," Richard finally said, voice shaky but still clinging to authority, "let's take this upstairs. No need for a scene." "This is the scene," she said quietly. "You built it the moment you decided who was worth respect." "How?" The words hung like glass in the air, sharp, reflective, impossible to ignore. Sarah took a cautious step forward. "Ma'am, should I cancel the client meeting?" Amara turned slightly. "No, they'll watch this too. Transparency is the new hospitality." The executives exchanged uneasy glances. One whispered, "She's serious." Another replied, "Of course she is. She owns the place." Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you believe that respect shouldn't depend on appearance, hit like and subscribe. These stories remind us silence can cost more than words. Now, back to Amara. Richard tried again, voice firming. "We didn't mean any harm. Everyone here follows protocol." "Protocol?" Amara tilted her head. "Show me the section that says, 'Detain anyone who doesn't look like your reflection.'" A small, stunned laugh rippled through the onlookers. Not mockery release. The first crack in fear. The guard swallowed. "I was doing my job." "Then maybe," Amara said softly, "it's time to redefine what that job means." The elevator chimed. Two board members stepped out, both white, both mid-50s, glancing from Richard to Amara. "Is there a problem here?" one asked, already knowing the answer. Richard's lips parted, but Amara spoke first. "Just a demonstration," she said, "of how easy it is to confuse position with value." The older man straightened, uncomfortable. "Well, let's not overreact." "Overreact?" she repeated, her tone still calm. "I was grabbed, questioned, and told to wait outside in the building I finance. If that's not worth reaction, what is?" A murmur swept through the staff. Sarah looked down, trying to hide a smile of vindication. Amara took a breath, steady and deliberate. "This lobby will serve a new purpose starting today. It won't be where bias hides behind customer service. It'll be where accountability starts." Richard blinked. "You can't just—" "I already did," she said. "Effective immediately. Security reports directly to corporate ethics. And as for this branch management—" She paused. Her gaze moved across every face, the guard, the receptionist, the staff pretending to work behind their monitors. "You'll have 1 hour to write a statement about what you witnessed today. Not about me, about yourselves." The silence that followed wasn't fear anymore. It was reflection-heavy, collective, and long overdue. The quiet in the lobby felt almost holy. Phones stopped recording, not out of boredom but reverence, like everyone understood that history was being written right there, under the hum of fluorescent light and marble echoes. Amara's phone vibrated once. She tapped her earpiece. "Go ahead, Nia," she said. Her assistant's voice came through, crisp, professional. "The board has been notified. HR and legal are requesting real-time confirmation." "Good," Amara replied. "Let them watch what accountability looks like when it's live." Richard's face drained of color. "You're streaming this?" Amara didn't look at him. Transparency isn't optional anymore. Behind the reception desk, the young woman whispered, "Oh my God." Sarah bit her lip to hide a grin, not from mockery, but from pride. "Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you've ever had to prove your worth twice just to be treated once, hit like and subscribe, because stories like this, they're mirrors." Now, back to Amara. Richard tried one last attempt at authority. "Miss Blake, with respect, this could ruin reputations." "It's already ruined them," she said. "I'm just letting the truth take credit." The guard, still standing near the glass doors, cleared his throat. "Ma'am, I didn't mean—" "I know," she interrupted, "but intent doesn't erase impact. You don't get points for ignorance." Her tone wasn't cruel. It was surgical, clean, precise, undeniable. Each sentence cut through the air like it had waited years to be spoken. One of the board members stepped forward, his voice careful. "Miss Blake, perhaps we could debrief privately." Amara turned her gaze on him, steady. Privately is how this culture learned to survive. Publicly is how it will change. He froze, chastened. The other board member lowered his eyes. Sarah took a small step closer, emboldened. "Ma'am, may I say something?" Amara nodded. Sarah looked around the room. "I watched everything from the moment she walked in. Nobody helped her. Not one of us. We just stared, waiting to see how far it would go. And that's the problem." The weight of her words landed heavy. Amara met her eyes soft now, almost grateful. "Thank you," she said. "Courage doesn't need a title." The board members exchanged uneasy glances. The guard looked away. Richard's mouth opened, then shut again. Amara turned toward the security desk. "Pull the footage from the last 20 minutes. Send it to Ethics and the DEI board." The receptionist nodded quickly, hands trembling. "Right away, ma'am." "Good," Amara said. "And when it's done, keep it in training archives. Let new hires see what happens when power forgets its manners." A ripple of whispers spread through the staff, half shame, half awe. Richard took a step back, finally understanding that this wasn't a meeting anymore. It was a reckoning, and it carried her name. Amara straightened the sleeve of her suit. "You all said I was waiting," she said softly. "You were right. I was waiting to see who'd reveal themselves first." "Oh." And with that, she turned toward the elevators, the sound of her heels like a metronome counting the seconds of silence that followed her out. The elevator doors slid open with a low chime. Amara didn't step in. She stood in the threshold. The lobby reflected in polished chrome every anxious face behind her, every whisper hanging midair. Her earpiece buzzed again. "Miss Blake," Naya's voice came through, calm but charged. "The London partners are online. They're asking why the meeting hasn't started." Amara glanced toward the executive still frozen by the reception desk. "It already has," she said. "Patch them through to the lobby feed." There was a pause. "You mean the security feed?" "Yes. Let them see how we greet leadership in this building." Nia hesitated only a second before replying, "Understood. Live in 10 seconds." Richard's composure shattered. "You're broadcasting this to investors?" "I'm showing them why I built this company," Amara said quietly. "And what still needs rebuilding." The guard muttered under his breath, "She's serious." Sarah whispered back, "She always was." "Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you've ever had to stay calm in the face of disrespect, hit like and subscribe, because sometimes silence isn't weakness, it's precision. Now, back to Amara. The big screen in the lobby flickered to life, usually used for presentations or stock updates. Now it showed rows of board members joining from around the world. Faces appeared one by one. London, New York, Lagos, Tokyo. Each wore the same look, confusion sliding into shot. Richard started to stammer. "This isn't the right setting." "It's perfect," Amara said. "No PowerPoint can teach integrity better than this." "Oh." A voice from the screen spoke British accent, formal. "Amara, is that your building? What's going on?" She faced the camera directly. A live example of why diversity statements mean nothing without consequences. The room went completely still again. Even the hum of the AC felt like it was holding its breath. Another board member said, "We'll launch a full internal review." Amara nodded. "You won't need to. It's already happening." Richard stepped forward, desperate. "Miss Blake, I'd like to apologize on behalf of the staff." Amara turned her head slowly. "Don't apologize for them. Apologize to them." Her eyes swept the room to Sarah, to the receptionist, to the interns who had watched in silence. They need to see what accountability looks like from the top down. Richard hesitated, then turned toward the staff. I'm sorry." His voice cracked under the weight of it. It wasn't enough, but it was a start. Amara finally stepped into the elevator. "Keep the feed running," she said to Nia. "Let every office see this, every floor, every region." The doors began to close. Her last words echoed out into the lobby, quiet but clear. "Power doesn't protect you from truth, it reveals it." And then the elevator sealed shut, taking her upward while everyone below was left staring at their own reflection in the mirrored doors. The elevator climbed without sound, each floor number flashing like a heartbeat. 12, 18, 23. Amara stood perfectly still, hands clasped in front of her, the city lights reflected in the mirrored wall. Her breathing was even, but her eyes carried the storm she refused to unleash. At floor 27, the doors opened. A private corridor carpeted, silent, expensive. Waiting at the end was the boardroom, a glass box overlooking the skyline. Inside, assistants scattered like startled birds, unsure whether to greet her or flee. "Good morning," Amara said, her tone smooth as glass. Please stay. We're continuing our meeting here. She walked to the head of the table, set her phone down, and tapped once. The live feed from the lobby filled the wall screen behind her. Richard and the staff below were still visible, the building watching itself. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you've ever had to earn respect twice just to stand where others start once, hit like and subscribe. Because stories like this don't just happen, they reveal what's been hiding. Now, back to Amara. Let's proceed, she said, looking around the room. You've seen the footage. Now tell me what failed here. A senior board member cleared his throat. Protocol. Maybe a lapse in communication. No, Amara interrupted softly. What failed was character. Protocol just made it polite. The room fell silent. The city buzzed below, but up here it felt like Judgment Day. Another executive tried to sound brave. We can issue public statements, diversity training. Amara's eyebrow lifted. You think statements stop humiliation? Training doesn't work when people think respect is a courtesy instead of a duty. Her phone buzzed. Nia's voice came through the speaker. Miss Blake, the investors on the London call are still connected. They'd like to comment. Patch them in, Amara said. The large monitor split faces of investors, some uneasy, some inspired. A gray-haired man spoke first. Amara, we've followed you for years. What you did just now, it's unprecedented. Integrity usually is, she said. A younger woman investor leaned forward. That moment in the lobby, it's trending globally. Number wait outside is already viral. Amara allowed herself a faint smile. Good. Maybe the next time someone says those words, they'll think twice. She turned back to her board. Gentlemen, ladies, the problem wasn't a rogue employee. It's a culture that mistakes silence for professionalism. That ends today. Her voice softened, almost a whisper. I didn't build Brighton Holdings to be another company that apologizes well. I built it to be the place where no one has to prove they belong. The room stayed still. No one dared to break the moment. Outside the window, dawn broke over the city skyline, streaking light across the glass table where Amara stood calm, centered, unstoppable. And in the lobby below, the staff watched the live feed in silence, realizing that leadership didn't just live upstairs anymore. It lived everywhere she walked. Downstairs, the lobby was no longer a workplace, it was a mirror. Every employee who had laughed, ignored, or looked away was now watching themselves on the screen. The sound of their own silence echoed louder than any reprimand. Sarah stood near the center, hands clasped, eyes fixed on the monitor where Amara now addressed the board. The young intern could hardly believe she was witnessing it, not just justice, but transformation in real time. Richard, pale and sweating, tried to compose himself. Turn the feed off, he whispered to the receptionist. She shook her head. We can't. It's being streamed company-wide. The guard muttered. It's over for us. Sarah glanced at him. Maybe it's just beginning. Upstairs, Amara's voice resonated through the speakers. Power means nothing if it can't survive truth. Leadership starts when excuses stop. The room downstairs went completely silent. No more footsteps, no ringing phones, just that voice. Calm and exact, slicing through every layer of denial that had built up over years of just following policy. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you believe silence can be complicity, hit like and subscribe. Because change starts when watching turns into witnessing. Now, back to Amara. In the boardroom, she turned off the presentation screen and faced her directors directly. Effective immediately, she said, Brighton Holdings will adopt the open accountability model. No incident involving staff conduct will be buried behind internal reports. Every case will be reviewed with transparency, public, traceable, and final. One director frowned. That could damage our image. Amara met his gaze. Our image was never the problem. Our behavior was. A murmur moved through the table, discomfort tangled with reluctant admiration. One of the younger board members finally spoke. What about the employees downstairs? They'll stay, Amara said. I don't cancel people for my pride. I rebuild systems for their growth. Her eyes softened. But they'll remember this day every time they badge in. Nia's voice came through the intercom again. Ma'am, Global Press is requesting comment. What message should I send? Amara thought for a beat. Then, tell them the story's already public, they're just catching up. Downstairs, Sarah exhaled deeply. the tension in her shoulders finally releasing. She looked at Richard, who now seemed smaller, stripped of every layer of control he once wore like armor. "Funny," she said quietly, "how waiting outside turned into the whole world watching inside." Amara, still upstairs, turned toward the window. The skyline shimmered in morning light steel and glass, reflecting her image back at her. Her reflection didn't smile. It simply nodded, as if to say, "Now they see you." And for the first time, she let herself breathe, not victory, but clarity. The kind that comes when the truth no longer needs permission to exist. The morning sun had fully broken through the skyline, streaking gold across the glass of Brighton Tower. From the top floor, Amara watched the city wake, unaware that inside this building, something irreversible had already shifted. Her reflection in the window looked calm, but beneath that stillness was the weight of years every time she'd been underestimated, dismissed, told to wait outside. Now, the same silence that once punished her had become her sharpest instrument. Behind her, the boardroom was still quiet. Executives stared at their notes, unsure whether to speak or breathe. Amara turned, her voice steady. "We spend millions training employees to sell, negotiate, and lead. But the one thing we never trained was how to see." She walked slowly past them. "You all saw me in the lobby, a woman of color, alone, not performing power. And in 5 minutes, you decided who I wasn't." No one argued. No one could. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you believe leadership means more than titles and suits, hit like and subscribe. Because dignity isn't decoration, it's the foundation. Now, back to Amara. A senior board member cleared his throat. "Miss Blake, if I may, you've proven your point. What comes next?" Amara stopped at the head of the table. "We rebuild, not with slogans, with policies." She tapped her phone once. A document projected on the screen behind her bold letters across the top read, "The Respect Initiative. This will be mandatory across all branches," she continued. "No bias, no exception. You don't get to decide who belongs based on comfort." Richard's voice came faintly from the lobby feed. "Miss Blake, may I speak?" She hesitated, then nodded toward the speaker. His tone was fragile. "I don't expect forgiveness, but I do want to learn." Amara considered that, then replied, "Forgiveness isn't the goal. Awareness is. If you leave here humbler than you arrived, that's progress." The board members exchanged quiet glances. For once, they weren't performing understanding, they were processing it. "Effective immediately," she said. "The lobby will display a new sign. Welcome and no exceptions. I want every visitor to feel the opposite of what I did this morning." The assistant in the corner nodded, typing the directive live. Amara gathered her things, her movement deliberate, graceful. "Respect has a cost," she said softly, but the bill was always overdue. As she left the boardroom, her heels clicked against marble, the same sound that once echoed in humiliation now carried like punctuation. Each step said what words no longer needed to. The story has turned. Downstairs, the staff watched the feed end. No applause, no cheers, just the heavy quiet of people realizing they'd witnessed justice served without spectacle. And somewhere in that silence they understood. The woman they had told to wait outside had just invited the whole world in. By noon, Brighton Tower no longer felt like the same building. The lobby buzzed with a strange, quiet energy, not fear, not gossip, but awareness. Employees walked slower, looked at each other longer, as if seeing for the first time how easy it had been to look away. The large digital screen on the wall no longer played stock updates or motivational quotes. It showed a simple white slide with black letters. "Accountability is the new welcome." Sarah stood near the reception desk, still processing everything. Richard approached her, no longer the swaggering manager from that morning, but a man carrying his own reflection. "Did you talk to her?" he asked quietly. Sarah shook her head. "No, I think she's done talking. Now she's showing." They both turned as the elevator opened. Amara stepped out again, not escorted, not announced. The same fuchsia suit, the same quiet composure, but the atmosphere around her had changed. The air seemed to part for her this time. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you believe change begins the moment someone refuses to shrink, hit like and subscribe. Because stories like this don't just expose power, they redefine it. Now, back to Amara. She walked past the security desk. The guard, the same one who'd grabbed her jacket hours earlier, straightened, eyes wet. "Ma'am," he said, voice breaking. "I'm sorry." Amara paused. For the first time that day, she smiled, faint, real. "I know," she said. "Make sure it doesn't stop at sorry." "Oh." He nodded, swallowing hard. She turned toward the camera overhead and said clearly, "End the live feed." The screen behind her faded to black. The moment was over, but its echo stayed. Richard stepped forward. "Miss Blake," he began, "I'm ready for whatever comes next. Demotion, dismissal." Amara cut him off gently. "Growth, that's what comes next." He blinked. "You're keeping me?" "I'm keeping the lesson," she replied. "Whether you're part of it is up to you." Sarah watched from a few steps away, her chest tightening with emotion. This wasn't revenge. It was recalibration, the kind that stings but heals right. Amara glanced toward her. "Miss Lopez." "Yes, ma'am?" "You saw the truth and didn't bury it. That matters here." Sarah's voice trembled. "Thank you." "Don't thank me. Earn it. You start in corporate communications Monday morning." The room rippled with stunned silence. The intern had just been promoted in front of everyone. Amara turned back to the staff. "This morning you watched a woman get told to wait outside. I'm asking you, what would you have done if you knew who she was? Now ask yourself why it should have mattered." No one spoke, but no one looked away either. She nodded once, satisfied. "Then we're finally starting to understand each other." As she walked toward the glass doors, sunlight spilled across the marble floor. The same spot where she'd been grabbed that morning now glowed warm and clean, as if even the building itself was trying to apologize. The reset had begun. Outside, the afternoon light struck Brighton Tower like a mirror, tall, unflinching, reflecting the kind of truth that couldn't be hidden anymore. Cars hummed past on the boulevard. Commuters glanced up at the building, unaware that inside, an entire culture had shifted in a single morning. Amara stood just beyond the glass doors, letting the air hit her face. It smelled like freedom, clean, bright, earned. Behind her, the faint murmur of voices softened. People were returning to work, still stunned but changed. Nia's voice came through her earpiece. "Everything's in motion, Miss Blake. HR confirmed policy updates. The Respect Initiative has gone viral, over 2 million views already." Amara smiled faintly. "Good. Let the world see that power can course-correct itself." She took one last look through the glass, the same lobby where she'd been told to wait outside just hours ago. Now, her reflection stood centered on the marble, as if the building itself was standing to attention. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you believe real power doesn't shout, it stands its ground, hit like and subscribe. Because stories like this aren't revenge, they're restoration. Now, back to Amara. Sarah hurried toward the door. "Miss Blake!" she called, slightly breathless. "Before you go." Amara turned, the afternoon sun catching the gold in her eyes. "Thank you," Sarah said, "for not walking away, for making us all look." Amara's smile widened, soft but sharp. "Don't thank me. Just remember what it felt like. Use that, because next time, it might not be me." Sarah nodded, emotion thick in her throat. "Yes, ma'am." Amara stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Change doesn't start with the powerful. It starts with the observant. You saw something wrong and you didn't hide it. That's how empires shift." The words landed like a promise. Across the street, a small crowd had gathered, employees from neighboring offices, curious after seeing the live stream. Some clapped quietly. Amara didn't wave. She didn't bask. She simply straightened her jacket and walked toward her car, every step deliberate, every movement measured. Her driver opened the door. "Rough morning, ma'am?" Amara gave a light laugh. "Necessary morning." As she settled inside, her phone buzzed with a text from Nia, media calling it the wait outside incident. Amara typed back, "Call it the wake-up call." The car pulled away, the tower gleaming behind her like a monument to what had been unlearned. Inside the lobby, the new sign was already mounted on the wall. "Welcome and no exceptions." The receptionist stared at it, whispering under her breath. She really meant it. And in the distance, Amara's voice, calm, resonant, played through the company's final broadcast of the day. "I didn't shout. I didn't threaten. I just reminded them who I already was." The screen faded to black.